does that all the time.
And welcome everyone back to the Centier Bank Studios. Andrew Mild with Doug Nelson for the Region Sports Network wrap-up show of Week 7. So only 2 more weeks to go. Got Selection Saturday coming up to see how sectionals are going to pan out for the first round. And there's some good games today, some blowouts as per usual. We're going to run through them and then wrap up your Friday night and then get to watch some college football tomorrow. We're starting off in Maryville for the Andrean 59ers. They're ranked 8th in the Enigenberg Region Sports Network rankings. They were up 14-13 for quite some time, but Bishop Chatard's defense stepped up. Their run game really exploded, and they walked away with an easy win, 39-14, to improve to 6-1.
Yeah, just too much Chatard, right?
Yep.
Andrean jumped out early, little home field advantage, but over time the better team won. But still, we talked about Andrean and that strength of schedule.
Yes.
It's only going to help them down the road. So great job by Coach Skinner to even try to schedule these guys.
Yeah, for Andrean team, they go to 3-4, but again, they've lost to some really good teams, and that SOS, that strength of schedule, is going to play a huge impact going into if Andrean's going to stay within the top 10 in the Enigenberg rankings. We had a blowout, North Newton, the Spartans taking care of Bowman Academy, 53-18. The Eagles continue their struggles. They go to 0-7. This was a game that was on the Region Sports Network tonight, and if you tuned in, then you found yourself a really good game to follow between Chesterton and LC, that game at LC, and with the Trojans down 16-3, they scored 2 quick touchdowns, one to end the third, one to start the fourth. They held on 17-16. They get the W.
Yeah, this is one of those games we need to talk to Chris and have like a blue collar player game of the week, right?
Yeah.
This is the blue collar game of the week where you got 2 gritty, tough teams that just didn't want to lose, and Chesterton found enough to win the game, and Gavia got a lot of touches in the second half and carried them to the win. But just one of those games you don't want to see a team lose.
The Chesterton Trojans go to 5-2 and 3-2 in the DAC. They're also 2-1 since losing their starting quarterback, and that one loss was to Crown Point. And speaking about those Bulldogs, they took care of business. They blew out LaPorte 42-0. They'll continue to be the number 1 team in the Enigenberg rankings. Griffith, they did the same to Gary Westside. That was also a 42-0 score. This was a big one in the Crossroads Conference between Hanover Central and Hobart, both teams 4-0 going into it, and it was back and forth. Hanover Central landed some haymakers early, going up 14-0. Hobart responded by tying it, and then Hanover scored 1 touchdown. And that was it. The defense stepped up. They had a big stop and made sure that Hobart didn't find the end zone. They won 21-14, and they got Andrean next week as they try to defend their conference championship. They got to win those next 2.
Yeah, just for Hanover to win that game on the road, it showed me a lot about that team.
Yes.
And again, they have a lot of time ahead of them there in the postseason.
This was another fun game to sort of follow tonight. The Kankakee Valley Cougars going up against the Lowell Red Devils. It was back and forth. But for Lowell, their run game helped them out. A 40-yard touchdown put the nail in the coffin. They win by 13, 27-14, the final.
Yeah, the Kirk Kennedy Bowl, again, it's just one of those things you can count on. Lowell getting things straight, about right around Halloween.
Yeah.
Right? That's their favorite time of the year, and they're going to get things going. But so they did it here again tonight.
Lake Station beat East Chicago Central. Lake Station getting their second win of the year. East Chicago drops to 1-6. Michigan City Wolves and the Portage Indians. This was a game that we were watching the closeout RSN zone tonight, and it was a field goal. They gave Portage their first conference win, and that's a big one for them.
Yeah, defensive battle. Sorry, Andrew. Defensive battle, and just Portage just did just enough to get that W there on their homecoming evening.
The Morton Governors took care of Hammond Central in the Hammond battle. That was a 42-14 shellacking for the Governors. Munster and Highland. This was a game that we were sort of curious going into it, how it was going to play out, but the Munster Mustangs blew out Highland. I think it was Highland's homecoming night. They had a good crowd, but a lot of them were leaving early. It was a tough one to swallow for them.
Yeah, I would have never guessed there'd be this many points scored total.
Right.
But, good win for Mustang, and maybe get things going the right direction.
Well, this was a team that you were talking about a lot in the RSN zone, especially after we found out what their final was. River Forest emerging as a team that's going to be really tough to beat to close out these last 2 weeks of the regular season. They beat Bishop Knoll by 5 touchdowns, 35-0 the final from Hammond.
Yeah, good. Again, the coaching staff does a great job there. Coach Hidalgo he's done a great job since he's been there. He's stayed there. I'm sure he's had opportunities to go other places. But that's what those kids need. They need consistency, and they bought in and just continue to make things good, make good things happen.
Well, the big game that was on the Region Sports Network tonight, of course, number 3, Maryville going up against number 4, Valpo. We thought this was going to be a good one. Turned out Maryville is as good as advertised, and they're only getting better. They blow out Valpo 35-7. A bit of a shocker.
It was. I didn't predict the spread there, but we talked about a little bit about it. I think Maryville's going the right direction, trending in the right direction, and the sky is the limit for them.
Next up is Wheeler and Calumet. We saw Calumet go up 8-0. There was a couple of good defensive stands by both sides where the offense reached the red zone or maybe just outside of it. The defense stepped up, got some big stops, but then Wheeler scored 43 unanswered points. They had a running clock to close out the game. And surprisingly for us, and we were shocked by this, and I think everyone else is that's been following Wheeler this year, they won the game by running the ball.
Yeah, again, you have to have more than one way to win, right? Yes. And just tonight, their coaching staff did a good job of adjusting and playing to Calumet's weaknesses. And tonight that was on the grounds, and they did a great job with that, with Ortiz, with 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Jaden Ortiz had himself a night.
Yeah.
It just kept feeding the beast, and the beast kept paying off and paying dividends for the Bearcats, who get themselves another win. They go to 5-2. They are ranked number 6 in the Enigenberg Region Sports Network ranking. And then the Boone Grove Wolves, they were up by a lot early. Whiting started to get their way back into it, but then Boone Grove pulled away at the end. They won 47-28. Boone Grove goes to 4-3. Whiting goes to 2-5. And another big shout out to Whiting for allowing us to crash their dinner yesterday. It was really fun to meet some of their players, their coaches, and the team moms. You guys are a spectacular group. Looking forward to see how the rest of your season goes. And the somewhat out of the area scoreboard. New Prairie took care of Mishawaka 42-28. North Judson was a team that you and Doug were really talking about as they won by 42 points against Winnemac, 48-6. North Judson looking like the real deal.
Yeah, number 1 in 1A. I just don't see anybody in the North even being close to them. So good luck to the Blue Jays headed forward, and they are the real deal.
Knox blows out Jimtown 41-20. So that's all the scores that we have, and tossed a perfect game. We got all the scores that we had on our scores sheet, so that's a victory for us. But Doug, we had a lot of fun watching football tonight. The RSN zone seems to be a hit with the fans. We talked about football for 3 hours, and to talk about football for a little bit for half an hour. But these next 2 weeks are going to be really fun. We're really going to find out which teams have the stuff to take to Indianapolis. But a game that I think that we're going to be finding ourselves tuning into is Hanover Central and Andrean.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. It's going to decide whether or not Hanover hogs the whole title or shares it a little bit. But, we Andrean's played this tough schedule for games like this.
Right.
And Hanover, it just continues to roll. So we'll see, what budges.
Well, I'm interested to see how this rankings is going to turn out with Valpo getting the loss tonight, and then a couple teams right behind them getting them wins like Wheeler, and you also saw Griffith win. And that was the thing that you and Doug were talking about. If you put Valpo on the field with those two teams, how's that going to go?
Sure.
And do they deserve to go over Valpo even though they lost to the number 3 team in Maryville?
Yeah, that's the conundrum you always run into when you rank everybody in the same poll, right? They used to do a small school poll and a big school poll.
Yeah.
What fun is that, right?
Exactly.
That'd give us nothing to talk about.
It wouldn't get the people's reactions like
Sure.
we're looking for.
Sure.
But that's going to do it here on the Region Sports Network wrap-up show. If you missed it and you just want to watch the scoreboard go by, we do have the Track and Van Til's hometown scoreboard running all night into tomorrow morning. So just tune on in, see if your team won. Hopefully they did. But that's going to do it here at the Cintier Bank Studios. For my partner, Doug Nelson, I've been Andrew Mild. We'll see you next week for more Region Sports Network football. And this has been the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.